Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Prior to 2016 and 2017, the worst known instance of abuse of power by an administration was Richard Nixon's abuse of his administration to target his political enemies. By any measure, what the Obama-Biden administration did in 2016 and 2017.
What Ted Cruz is talking about is when Richard Nixon was doing all kind of conspiratorial shit, from Vietnam to a lot of stuff, and even flooding the black community with crack cocaine. With cocaine, and later on, how it goes. But Nixon targeted his political enemies, and he created what we call the plumbers. Where if you didn't agree with him, you simply got plumbed by the plumber. Come to fix the thing. The same thing we saw with Dick Cheney. When one of his Republicans or whoever didn't agree with him, he went on camping, hunting, and claimed he mistakenly shot the guy. He didn't die. I don't think the guy died though. But that was Dick Cheney. So we know how they do, where he even mentioned in the clip before that how Republicans would call another Republican a traitor because he is the one calling the other one a traitor, is the traitor. That's the plan. You know what I'm saying? And he's calling his fellow Republican that because he's in bed with the demon and the deep state and all the rest of the bullshit, You know what I'm saying? But he's in Republican clothes, of course. So he's able to do that. This is how the game is played. The game is not played just by talk on the street or talk here, talk. That has nothing to do with it. When it comes down to it, you're not there, I'm not there. We're going upon the reports and the things that we see and we hear. So without further ado, let's get back to that before my time runs out. Okay? Here we go.
Makes everything Richard Nixon even contemplated pale in comparison. And Richard Nixon rightfully faced impeachment and ultimately resigned as a consequence of his misconduct. The evidence that has been made public has made clear that the Obama administration targeted his political opponents, targeted President Trump and his campaign, unleashed, weaponized, and politicized the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the intelligence community, and that the decision-making to do so went right up to the very top. We know that on January 4th, 2017, the FBI concluded in a document that has just been released that General Michael Flynn was, quote, no longer a viable candidate to be part of this larger case. Their investigation did not yield any information on which to predicate further investigative efforts. The FBI is closing this investigation. That was January 4th, 2017. The next day, James Comey, the director of the FBI, is sitting in the Oval Office with Barack Obama, with Joe Biden, and James Comey, according to a memo from Susan Rice, one of the most remarkable CYA memos written in Washington, written on her last day in office, an email to herself saying, by the way, this investigation into the National Security Advisor coming in to the new office, the president has said, do it, quote, by the book. She says by the book 3 times. James Comey tells the president, we're investigating Michael Flynn by the book. Well, unless the book is Richard Nixon's Watergate, the day before the FBI said they were closing the investigation, and there's James Comey telling Barack Obama we're going after General Flynn, a decorated 3-star general, the incoming National Security Advisor of the president, with Joe Biden sitting right there nodding along. Joe Biden himself personally unmasks Michael Flynn's name. That's the world you came into, Mr. Rosenstein. That's the Department of Justice you came into, where it had been corrupted and politicized. You've read the Inspector General report, Mr. Rosenstein?
I've read most of it, yes, sir.
You've read the 17 repeated material misstatements documented within the Inspector General report.
I have read that, yes, sir.
You're aware one of those is a lawyer fraudulently altering an email, creating counterfeit evidence that became the predicate for a sworn statement in the FISA court.
That is in the Inspector General's report, yes, sir.
Are you aware of other instances of Department of Justice employees fraudulently creating evidence to submit to court?
Every instance that I'm aware of, Senator, would be appropriately investigated and hopefully appropriate action would be taken.
Mr. Rosenstein, on May 17th, you appointed Bob Mueller the special counsel. On June 29th, you signed the third FISA application. On August 2nd, you signed the second scope application. You came into a profoundly politicized world, and yet all of this was allowed to go forward under your leadership. That unfortunately leads to only two possible conclusions. Either that you were complicit in the wrongdoing, which I don't believe was the case, or that your performance of your duties was grossly negligent. Was there
With that standard, Senator.
Was there any more important case the Department of Justice had than an investigation into whether the President of the United States is a Russian asset colluding against the United States?
Well, that's the way you're characterizing the investigation, Senator. There was certainly lots of important investigations, but I view this as one of the most important.
Okay. You just told Senator Lee you read the FISA application. At the time you read the FISA application, did you know that the primary source behind the Steele dossier had disavowed it and said it's not true?
At the time I reviewed it, and I'm not sure I read every word, but I certainly reviewed it, and no, I did not know that.
At the time you reviewed it, did you know that there was significant exculpatory material that was omitted from it?
Absolutely not.
At the time you reviewed it, did you know that a lawyer on your staff had fraudulently altered material as a basis for a FISA application?
That lawyer was not on my staff, but I was not aware of it.
It was on the FBI staff.
Correct.
And the FBI reports to the Deputy Attorney General.
Correct.
At the time that you reviewed it, did you know the Steele dossier was paid for by the DNC?
I don't believe so.
Did you ask any of those questions?
Well, the questions I would have asked, Senator, would have been, is the information represented to me verified? And I would anticipate, Senator, that if somebody knew that it wasn't true about the...
Obama target U.S. citizens and U.S. people and nations. He targeted the U.S. Now, Ted Cruz is asking the AG, Attorney General, witness, rapid fire questions over the dirty jailing of Michael Flynn. Remember in the beginning of my lives when I used to speak about Michael Flynn and all of this and that, and in my earlier live, how they tried to ramrod the general and that and all this and that. Oh yeah, this is it here.
Credibility of the informant or the accuracy of the evidence.
Mr. Rosenstein, when you're going into a department that has been politicized, I understand it's easier just not to rock the boat, not to question the people there. But you were the acting Attorney General of the United States and had a responsibility not to allow political targeting. Let me ask you, did it strike you as strange, and my time has expired, so I'm going to leave this as the last question. Did it strike you as strange that the FBI and the Department of Justice was going after a three-star general, the incoming national security advisor to the president, who they already said they were going to dismiss the case against, and their predicate for all of this is the Logan Act, which you know perfectly well is an unconstitutional law that no one has ever been prosecuted under in the history of the Department of Justice, and should have been laughed out of the room in any responsible Department of Justice if someone had suggested we're going to go after the incoming national security advisor for violating the Logan Act, which says an American citizen can't talk to a foreign leader. I guarantee you today, right now, John Kerry is violating the Logan Act. Now, fortunately, it's an unconstitutional law, so who cares? Why did you not laugh this out of the room, and why didn't you get to answers on this? Why did you let this pile of partisan lies consumed the country for 2 years.
Senator, I appreciate you pack a lot into your question, and I know the time is limited. First of all, Senator, I think it's not accurate to say that we didn't rock the boat.
He's lying.
As you may be aware, when I went into that job with Attorney General Sessions, we actually made a lot of significant changes. It wasn't just about the Russia investigation. There was a lot more going on in the Department of Justice. And so I would not have been reluctant in any way to rock the boat if I believed that there was something improper going on.
He's lying.
With regard to General Flynn, to take that particular issue, Senator, my understanding at the time that I arrived was that General Flynn had lied to the vice president and to FBI agents. And that, I believe, was the primary issue that was under investigation at the time.
That was
I didn't
a lie.
know all the background that appears in
He's
the
lying.
pleading that was filed by the U.S. Attorney in D.C.
But you didn't bother to ask. You didn't actually bother to drill in and say, show me the background. You know, this may be the most important case we've got in the whole country. Let me actually do more than just rubber stamp the document put in front of me.
I don't believe I was rubber stamping, Senator, and I fully appreciate your concern. And obviously, you always wish you could have done more. But we did have 70,000 cases filed that year.
He's making
I
excuses.
devoted more attention to this case than to anything else.
He's lying.
But I still didn't know everything. And so that's
lying.
the best I can give you, Senator.
Senator
Thank you.
Klobuchar, thank you.
He's taking the heat for the Biden administration because he was was put there to do the dirty work for the administration. So he's not faking and funking anybody. You know what I'm saying? Ted Cruz just rocked his boat all the way where he needs a bar of soap and a mouse. You know what I'm saying? Because he should be in jail right about now. That's another one, should be over the bridge. You know what I'm saying? Pack his shit and don't come back. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shit going on. You know what I'm saying? We see Trump revenge him with, you know what I'm saying, so forth. We see Pelosi refuse, you know what I'm saying, cops, you know. We see Peter Ducey destroys, you know what I'm saying, this idiot. You know what I'm saying? She's, you know, why did they put this black woman as House Speaker? I really don't know. I mean, House, I forgot what her job is, you know, to lie, really. You know what I'm saying? But this is one here that you know, now check this one out right here, because
When you have these woke revolutions,
this is important for us to know. Like this message right here, you know.
a nation has to have civic education. They have to know what the Constitution is. They have to know what the First Amendment is. They have to have some idea who the people were that died at Shiloh, what Okinawa was about, who Andrew Jackson was, who Lincoln was, who Harriet Tubman was. If you don't have models of your past, you're going to forget it. We are living in a country that has no resemblance to the visions of the Founding Fathers in the first 200 years of our history. We're losing that ability with tribal politics, wokeness, cancel culture. If you lose the idea of citizenship, and if Americans don't see themselves as unique citizens of the United States, then you don't have a country. The people who control us in the corporate boardroom, in Hollywood, in professional sports, the people on Wall Street, the people in Silicon Valley, they have found a way to siphon the profits from 7 billion people on the planet that have an iPhone or an email account or a Google search to an area of about 80 square miles. If we don't wake up, the elite who don't believe in the American experiment will hijack our government. If we're aware of what they're doing and aware of the perilous status of citizenship, then we become masters of our own destiny. If we don't, then the citizenship that we've known for centuries will die. I'm Victor Davis Hanson. This is a course on American citizenship. Let's begin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think the gentleman.
Now, what he just said is true in all ways. If we don't wake up and come to full grips, you know what I'm saying, this is what will happen. Because we know that by Steph Curry and these different players who always, you know what I'm saying, glamorizing Chinese, you know what I'm saying, even in the rap songs, you know what I'm saying, they always call it a Chinese name. So we know full well that they have influence in even at paying them to do the bullshit along with whatever Luciferian contracts or whatever game they got to put in our eyesight to make us believe this bullshit. But you know what I'm saying? I wish they can go there or show us where is that so we could bust it wide open probably. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's still full of shit. Because, you know, you heard what he said, movie stars, Hollywood, all this is involved in the destruction of American people, the general common people as a whole. You must now come past some of the bullshit that is holding you there. You know what I'm saying? It's time to come forward strongly and your voice be heard in your vote for the 2024 election to put somebody in there that's going to straighten this out, who's going to make sure that America comes first. Not second, not third, and not no fucking Build Back Better plan. That piece of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I bet you all that money went into the Ukraine war and also paying the NATO nations all our money, talking about $1.9 trillion going to every other country, 34 nations in the NATO nations, like Trump said, and they're paying NATO billions and billions of dollars, while black people especially don't own their own home after after their ancestors have been enslaved and try to act as if you're gonna forget what the fuck you did and you ain't gonna give a shit, shut up, and just be a nigga in a homeless crazy man in the street so everybody can look at you and say you're a black nigga stinking. Don't give me that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? What you see is going on today is by design. So let's get back to the situation.
For yielding, the majority leader just a few minutes ago used the term danger to our democracy. Danger to our democracy. Think about this. Democrats have closed the Capitol, allowed proxy voting, kicked Republicans off committee, won't let Republicans serve on this select committee. First time in the history of the Congress, the minority leader was not allowed to put on a select committee the individuals he or she selected. First time in the history of our nation. Democrats are trying to end the Electoral College, trying to end the filibuster, trying to pack the court. This committee, the January 6th committee, altered evidence and presented to the American people as if it were true.
Remember that? This is Jim Jordan going in saying, you know what I'm saying, she's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? She is dangerous. Jim Jordan, you know what I'm saying, dismantle traitor Liz Cheney after fake evidence at January 6th hearing.
And they accuse us of being a danger to our democracy? Mr. Gates was right. We got a border that is complete chaos. We have $6 gas in California, $4 gas everywhere else in the country. We have crime at record levels in every major urban area in this nation. And we have an inflation problem that's at a 40-year high. And this committee has more contempt resolutions for a purely political reason. I think the whole committee is purely political, designed to do one thing: keep President Trump off the ballot in 2024.
Woo!
The gentlelady from Wyoming in her opening comments used the term false message. False, but she used to say big lie, now I guess it's false message. And I just jotted, I thought when she said, I started jotting things down. False, think about all the false messages we've got from them in the last few years. They told us the protests in the summer of 2020 were peaceful. Got $1 billion worth of damage around our cities that says it wasn't. They told us the dossier was real. They told us it was Republicans.
Black Lives Matter.
Republicans who wanted to defund the police. That's almost laughable. If it wasn't so serious for our law enforcement and for the families who live in those areas where mayors and city councils did defund the police, they told us the FBI didn't spy on the Trump campaign. We know that.
Now, when he said that it was peaceful, in other words, what he's saying is that Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Obama, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Cuomo, Romo, all of the demon Democrats, even down to Bush, all of them, you know what I'm saying, who all was in power at this time or had anything to say, especially was going out saying that these protesters were peaceful. So in other words, he's saying that they were working for the demon Democrats. You know what I'm saying? And the demon Democrats were vowing for the Black Lives Matter, saying that it was peaceful, you know what I'm saying? But the key that opened the door for it to spark the match was a series over time of killing of black men. Ahmaud Arbery, you know what I'm saying, Zimmerman working for them, you know what I'm saying, Deep State and his Luciferian fucking Zimmerman crackhead looking ass, killed Trayvon Martin, and more was involved to that beyond just Zimmerman, you know what I'm saying. Then you had, you know what I'm saying, the other brother, I forgot his name, you know what I'm saying, when he went up in and those 3 white boys shot him. And then you had all the way to George Floyd. Now, it was all sparked right at the same time. So was even coming up to the school shootings as we see. You know what I'm saying? But that effort was put there by that situation as we see, as it is. And then to put the smack dab on the smabba-dabba, you know what I'm saying, slabba-dabba, do was George Floyd. You see what I'm saying? That was the perfect time. Everything now was on the run as the groove was going. Even when it came to the quarantine and all that other stuff they were doing to the American public, they had totally weaponized the streets. Soros paying people online and Bail Me Out Fund by Kamala Harris, yeah, and the rest of the demon and all kind of schematical skill. All in the mission to keep Trump and disgrace Trump at the same time while they jamboree, that bullshit they call some kind of medicine into people by forcing them into such a chaotic mixture of the witch's brew. Yes, as we see.
That wasn't true. We got Inspector General reports that tell us all kinds of things of what they did in front of the FISA court. They said Trump colluded with Russia. We got a Mueller report, 19 lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 30 million hard-earned American tax dollars in that report that said that false message was just that, false. They told us COVID didn't start in the lab. Sure looks like it did. They told us the lab wasn't doing gain-of-function research. Sure looks like it was. They told us the vaccinated can't get it. We know that's wrong. Every day there's a new announcement. A member of Congress is getting it. Fully vaccinated, boosted, everything else. They told us the vaccinated can't transmit it. They told us that was wrong. And you talk about the biggest false message that's just been confirmed in the last week, how false it was. The Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. The Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. October 22nd, 2020, 2 weeks before the election, candidate Biden, in a debate, is asked about his son's business dealings with foreign companies. He says, quote, nothing was unethical. He said, my son has not made money with business interests with companies with an interest in China. And we all know there are 4.8 million reasons why that statement was not accurate. And how do we know? Washington Post told us.